Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about something that most people have missed in the Q3 earnings call. And I was very negative after the Q3 earnings call, and that has to do with a few factors. One of them because I had very positive expectations. So I was very biased, and then no good news came out of the earnings call. And then I interpreted a lot of things as a lot worse than they actually are. It took me some time to, sink it in. And I missed a very important thing, which is Alex Karps' letter to shareholders. And he actually had some very hidden gems in that that nobody's really talking about. So in this video, we're going to go over this letter, the gems that actually make the quarter a lot better than it seemed just from looking at their presentation and earnings call. So before, nobody really looked at Alex Karp's letter because it was a philosophy bullshit, very hard to understand. But this letter is very measured, has a lot of data, and yeah, it's very good to read if you're a shareholder of Palantir. So let's begin the video. As always, please make sure to hit the subscribe button if you like this content, and check out the first link in the description box below, which takes you to our Patreon, where you will be able to find very soon exclusive content. You get direct access to me, and you help this channel grow for the price of one coffee. So I would very appreciate it if you looked at it. Let's begin the video. It was like an iPhone 4S or like an S release year, it was nothing, everything was, as expected. There was like nothing really striking you as good and nothing really as a thesis breaker. But I was really feeling sad and was honestly considering, like, should I sell Palantir? It was just a passing thought. And I really had to reevaluate. You can see the earlier videos about this. And I was really missing what are they saying about the growth prospects of the company, what is happening on the market, why are we not getting more deals? And a lot of it is very nicely addressed in this letter. So I highlighted the important points. Here we go. We are in the early stages of a significant transformation. Our company is emerging as a dominant provider of foundational data platforms, generating approximately $500 million in revenue every quarter. So yeah, that's very nice. In Q4, they're going to deliver for more than $500 million, and that's quite a milestone. In the 12 months that ended September 30, 2019, we generated $253 million revenue in the United States. 3 years later, we generated $1.1 billion revenue, representing a 64% compound annual growth rate. We now anticipate that individual regional markets within the United States, including, for example, the Midwest, Southwest, Southeast, New England, and Texas, all have the potential to develop into billion-dollar businesses on their own over the near term. So I was really missing this from the earnings call. So they are basically anticipating that they are going to grow huge in the US, and even parts of the US are going to be separate billion-dollar businesses per year. And it's not even, it's quite a lot. So look at Midwest, Southeast, New England, Texas. That is $4 billion right there, only in the US, right? That's very good. We are also seeing individual markets abroad, which were once an ancillary part of our operations, develop into significant businesses on their own right. In the UK, for example, we generated $160 million in revenue in the 12 months prior that ended September 30, 2021. The following year, we generated $213 million, representing a year-over-year growth rate of 33%. So maybe they're going to have segments in the world that is going to be over $1 billion. They didn't say that about the UK, or did they? It just says significant business, right? But it's, even if it doesn't go into $1 billion, it adds up, right? Like if you have Germany, $500 million, UK, $500 million, Canada, $500 million, it adds up. So they're saying other countries were follow. I don't know why they didn't take this up on the earnings presentation. This is very relevant information. And before this, the earlier letters by Karp, they were like philosophy, mumbo jumbo, and they gave you a headache and you didn't understand the words that was in it. Many of the largest companies in the world are looking to their American peers for guidance, implicit or otherwise, regarding which software systems should stand at the center of their organizations. Very interesting. Europe, including Germany, have fallen behind the US in their willingness and ability to implement enterprise software systems that challenge their existing habits and modes of operation. I shoot this video in Sweden and I kind of see this. For example, the Swedes are so used to their own way of doing things, and it's very hard to get them to, change their ways of operation. And that's just something that is not so great about Europe. We have at this point essentially captured the market of commercial enterprises and industrial leaders that were first to begin leveraging software to reshape their businesses. So they have captured all the first adapters. I think low-key he's saying that now they have more sales to do to get customers. It's not as easy to get customers because the first people who were looking for solutions and they knew that they needed this, they got them. The remainder now are following. The shift has been possible by a more sophisticated and coherent commercial offering, which can now be deployed to new customers within minutes. Very good data. Results, very fast, cheap. This is what customers like. In the past, the time and effort required to build relationships with and deliver our software to customers weighed on our ability to expand at pace commensurate with demand in the market. So he said that in the past it was so complicated to deploy Palantir Foundry. They needed to send, deployment teams, and they had a limited amount of people that were trained in Palantir Foundry. And it was just not possible to expand as fast as they could have expanded because they just didn't have people. He says that this was a necessary interregnum. Our approach, however, to acquisition and onboarding of new customers has changed significantly, and a shift made possible by a far more systematic and mechanized sales operation. I mean, wouldn't you want to know this as a shareholder? Why the F is this not in the earnings call, and why don't they talk about this? A pure software business has now emerged. Hooray! I mean, this is really good. So what they're saying is they have iterated so much on the platform that they managed to almost make it a plug and play. I have to speak to CodeStrap about this because I just don't believe that they can, install Foundry as a static product and, you just download the software, install it, and you're ready to go. I still think that you need engineers to deploy it. CodeStrap, if you're watching this video, please let me know in the comments. But I do believe that it has become much, much, much simpler than in the past. Very, very good data. Our software is at war in Europe and around the world. And software is the means by which nations both impose and defend their values. We executed contracts in the third quarter of this year worth a total of 1.3 billion over time, with 987 million of the 1.3 billion coming from contracts entered into with the United States government. So that's really good. I mean, I know you can't annualize it because you see the numbers are very lumpy and all over the place. But if you were to annualize it, the almost 1.3 billion is, a 5 billion or 4.9. No, I can't count. 5.2 billion annual sales. That's really good. We furthermore do not view the increase in contract value this quarter as an aberration, but rather as a sign of a more fundamental shift in our business from insurgent outsider to incumbent, particularly in the US market. So I view this as really good also, because what this is communicating to me is that they didn't have the best relationship with the US government and army, and they even sued them because they were trying to develop their own program. And what this tells me is that the government has accepted that Palantir knows what they're doing, they're trustworthy guys, and we're just going to order more and more, and we're going to rely on them. Very, very good news again. There is a reason why the market is not overrun by competing enterprise software systems for integrating and then transforming data into something of operational value. They are extraordinarily difficult to build. The lack of widespread development of competing offerings is principally a reflection of the distinct hurdles that must be overcome for a mere data integration platform to mature into a foundational system that can model the world. we have found that the additional commercial offerings that have emerged in recent years in the market have served to educate customers about the tensions and trade-offs inherent in constructing an enterprise software. Where there was once a firm belief that adoption of tools in isolation was sufficient for success in the long run, there is now a broader understanding that enterprises will only begin to be able to exploit the value of their data when their own offerings and applications are running on top of a broader and integrated platform. So this is also really cool. What he's saying is that there is, companies like Snowflake and Databricks, and they don't handle the full problem. And when customers start to use them, maybe they handle the most urgent problem for the company, but it doesn't handle the whole data transformation. And there begins to be more and more understanding in the market that you need one unifying solution that just handles all the problem, and not one thing that is like, oh my God, we cannot see how the trucks are doing. Okay, download a truck following program. Maybe this is not a good example, but you get the point. The number of new customers, this is also something. Why the F were you guys not talking about this one on the call? So the number of new customers that are purchasing our software has more than doubled in the past year. Super bullish, insanely bullish for many reasons. One, we know that they have a very high net retention rate with the customers. So they put the foot in the door and then the customers order more and more and more. And I believe that they're going more down market, meaning that they're getting more customers that are smaller customers, not giant customers. And they can do it now because the software is more mature and easier to implement with the companies. And I think one of the reasons why we don't see a bigger increase with them is because they're not adding $20 million contracts. They're adding 10 customers with, 1 million contracts, let's say, which are going to grow year after year after year. So in essence, they're working on a very long-term, very stable, very sticky expansion, which I like. The speed with which our platforms are being adopted by new customers and the ease with which such platforms are being deployed is a reflection not only of the further maturation of the software itself, but its essential nature to modern life. We are building the digital infrastructure that makes continued industrial progress in the late capitalism possible. The sustained increase in interest and orders for our software products, particularly in the US, comes not in spite, but because of the current moment of austerity and tightening credit conditions. So I don't know if this is true. The numbers don't say that. I did a video on this that he always says that Palantir is made for bad times. But maybe I'm just not long-term enough because I'm like, okay, we had the war broke out. So where is the contract the next quarter and the quarter after that? Maybe this really big increase in government contracts, I mean, not even maybe, they say it is. So maybe it takes a few quarters for these things to play out. So I'm just not long-term enough when we are looking at this. But here is the customer count, and you can see that super nice growth of customers. Very, very nice. And then we have the privilege of planning and building a company for the long term. The current shift in macroeconomic conditions has served to winnow the field of participants in the technology sector and will continue to do so. I guess kind of he's saying that I don't know if he's saying low-key that the competition is going to be weeded out or just the tech sector in general is going to have a problem. Our ability to plan for the future is made possible because we have a 2.4 billion in the bank and no debt. We anticipated the present volatility and will continue to grow, not in spite, but because of it. I mean, this remains to be seen. I maybe disagree on this point, but I give them a break. I want to see what happens. And then in this last point, they are just talking about how talented their software engineers are. And we are building software that makes those discussions possible, and the instruments we are crafting are sharp. So fantastic ladder. Honestly, this, like, I was very bullish on Palantir going into the earnings call, and then the earnings call was a big shocker for me because of my unnecessarily high expectations. And then I was like, okay, this was like not a thesis breaker, but it was not a good quarter. But I have questions. Things were not, I want to see certain things like what's happening with the customers, what's happening with the competition, what do you think your growth prospects are? And all of those things are answered here. So I'm back to being super bullish. If I have money, I'm probably going to buy Palantir if it stays at this price, because I really like what I see here. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you missed this. And thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Even check out the Patreon if you're already there. And I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.